Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys slash Hono Studio 1/6 scale X-Men figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at none other than the master of magnetism himself, Magneto. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as brand new X-Men content goes live on the channel. Is anyone else hearing the X-Men animated theme song in their head right now? Just me? I mean, I can't help it. That big, bold X-Men logo right up front on this bottom flap is so triggering. As for the box art, behind this bottom flap, a comic book style image of Magneto, his name off to one side, loving this X made out of steel girders, by the way, then his name at the bottom done up to look like a comic book title in a bespoke font. This video is brought to you by JustinsCollection.shop, the home of the figure first aid kit, as well as other accessories to help your collection be the best it can be. The first aid kit contains multiple tools to help you with maintenance, styling rooted hair, and much more. We also sell crotch grabbers, soft rubber tips to prevent damage, and they're compatible with most modern Hot Toys base molds. Acrylic risers come in multi-packs, they're optically clear, thick and sturdy, and stackable. Check out the link to JustinsCollection.shop in the description. On the side of the box, Magneto and X-Men. Plus, when you lift up the flaps on the front of the box, there's some sneaky little X-Men logos tucked around the side. Around the back, some figure photography. They have not done our boy justice with the way they've styled the cape. We'll touch on that a little bit later. Down below, warnings and legal information. The way this box opens up is pretty unique. There's a top and bottom flap. Then there's a slipcover with a ridiculous read-up on it. The instructions for the figure are printed on the underside of this piece of cardboard. So if you're looking for instructions, just flip this bad boy over. I mean, it's been a while since I reviewed the Sideshow classic Jim Lee inspired look for Magneto, and I love that piece. I'm not sure if this one is going to replace the Sideshow figure or if I'm going to end up keeping both of them. We'll have to wait and see. First in-hand impressions for Hot Toys attempt. So far so good. Very heavy actually, heavier than I was expecting. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. This isn't going to take long. He doesn't come with much. Starting off with the display base first, it's the typical slopey Hono Studio base mold that, to be totally honest, I don't really like. The red edge detail is nice. Dig the Magneto logo up front. But it's too big. Like, it doesn't need to be this deep. And if you remove this comic book backdrop thing, then there's an open crevice around the back that's never going to be used for anything. If you've got the comic behind him, then you can't have other figures displayed behind Magneto because they will be completely hidden by the comic. It's not to say this looks bad, it doesn't, just that they haven't really considered how people are going to display a line of figures other than having them lined up next to each other. Now, this is the cutout that they give you. You can always insert your own comic into this clear clamshell piece of plastic. It's black on the back. I wouldn't suggest breaking open a slab to display your rare comics behind Magneto because this is not like UV protective at all. Your rare books are probably going to get damaged in this cover. It's also very flimsy. Then we've got a clear flight pole and a crotch grabber, not in the middle of the base, but around the back, so Magneto will stand here. All of the rest of this, completely wasted space. I think they need to look at redoing their base mold. Then when it comes to hands, closed fists, really liking that shiny metallic purple. They've gone classic, but they've also added some modern touches, like these armor plates on his knuckles. So I've currently got the effect pieces attached to his open palm hands. They connect really nicely. thumb goes in, then we attach these two fingers to the ports up top, not the index. I made that mistake earlier. Check the instructions. They've got these almost circular ripple effect like sculpted details around the front, including in this middle part. They're translucent plastic with blue and purple paint on them. I'm tempted to use these. However, these open palm hands have magnets in them. So you can attach little metal bits and pieces to his palms, and now you can showcase his magnetic powers. I'll show you what he looks like with the effect pieces on, and we'll also pop some screws and stuff in his hands a little bit later. What we're going to do now is get Magneto himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Holy shit, this guy looks good. Is he perfect? No, he's not perfect. A couple of things for us to discuss. Is he greater than the sum of his parts? Yes, I believe he is. Not that he comes with a lot of parts, but you know what I'm trying to say. As a whole, this is everything I was hoping for, and more, out of a 1/6 scale comic book / X-Men animated style Magneto. They nailed that beefcake look that Magnus had in the 90s. If they'd have gone too skinny or too short, not regal enough, not bold enough with the color palette, then they wouldn't have pulled it off. They towed that line between accuracy and realism, that really fine tightrope of a line so well that they've done it. This is now my favorite 1/6 scale comic book style Magneto. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Magneto's head sculpt, and that is quite a head sculpt, very expressive. Maybe too expressive for some. Before we get stuck into it, I've got a question for y'all. If at checkout, when you were buying these Hono Studio figures, you could add on an unhelmeted sculpt or a neutral expression faceplate for a little bit more money, would you do it? I know I definitely would. I would prefer to add bits on versus having to buy an entirely separate unhelmeted Magneto figure, but curious to hear your thoughts down in the comments. The helmet, super shiny for the red. The purple is still shiny, but it's more metallic than glossy, if you know what I mean. His hair sticks out around the back, well sculpted and painted with dry brushing and a wash over it. The crest is a separate piece, but it's not PVC plastic, so don't put any pressure on it. You'll probably snap off those pieces. Then he's got these big, full, bushy eyebrows, wash, lighter dry brushing to highlight the hair texture. His eyes are wet and glossy looking. You can't move them. That also would be a nice upgrade option. You could opt for moving eyes. Just think about it, please, Hot Toys. His teeth are fully exposed, and they've got this glossy shine to them. There's a wash in between them, so there's some separation, but they're not translucent. They're not even semi-translucent, and that's a shame. They've been doing that more and more recently. It adds to realism. I get it, this is a comic book-based piece, but he's got skin texture and wrinkles and frown lines, so why not go all out and give us slightly transparent teeth? The helmet will collide with this sculpted collar piece. Down below, these front sections, they're quite thin, so just watch out for that when you're moving the head sculpt around. On the collar is also ABS plastic. There's a distinct lack of PVC for these larger pieces, even the crest on the helmet. I think they've done that so they hold their shape, they don't deform over time. The purple they've gone with as the accent color is just saturated enough. It looks nice and vibrant, but it's not overly glossy. I know I've already mentioned that, but it's got this real dry, gritty, textured look about it, and I like that. There's some lighter purple in this front piece, and the painted purple surfaces do match throughout the entire outfit. And that's a good thing, that's definitely what you want. Even though the gauntlets and the boots, the belt, they're made of PVC, a completely different material versus ABS, the color match is still spot on, which isn't as easy to do as you might think. I'm interested to see what this guy looks like with the Sideshow Magneto helmet on. lighter purple, deeper metallic red, but a neutral expression and fully whited out eyes. Let's give it a go. Dude, I really like this a lot more than I was expecting. The fact that it sort of fits on the body, even though it's smaller in scale, it's a little bit higher on the neck connector. I don't mind that. He's got more of a neck now. I reckon it helps with proportions and it makes the body look even larger. It's an old toy maker's trick. You shrink the head down and that supersizes your superhero style bodies. They don't have the panel lines on the helmet like the Hot Toys one, and it's slightly more boxy. It pinches in more around the front. The widened out eyes, everything is just working for me. But Sideshow Magneto also comes with an unhelmeted head sculpt. Let's pop that on. Oh, I think we have a winner on our hands. Unhelmeted Magneto, windswept hair, the side eye, the furrowed brow look. It's not actually connected with a double ball peg, it's just sitting on there with friction, but it's a secure fit. Once you push this all the way down, it sits at pretty much the right height. His neck is a bit long, it's very wide. That doesn't bother me. I am tempted to display Hono Studio Magneto wearing the Sideshow head sculpt. What about the other way around, though? It's okay. It's doable. The Hono Studio head sculpt is a lot larger than the Sideshow one. It doesn't sit on the neck double ball peg properly. You'd have to do something about that. Maybe stuff some blue tack underneath it. The body's too skinny. The proportions don't look quite right wearing this head sculpt, where with the stock Sideshow one on there, the body starts to make a lot more sense. So this is not something I'm interested in doing. Okay, enough messing around, back to stock. Let's discuss the cape, shall we? It's a lightweight fabric, 2-ply, wired along the edges, but not the bottom. These pleats pre-baked in where it's tucked underneath this armor plating, you can't really adjust them. You can adjust the way it sits over his shoulders. In the promo pics, he looked like this. You can do it, but when we see Jim Lee Magneto, he usually has the cape flaring out like this, which not only makes him look bulky, but more regal at the same time. I'm gonna pose my Magneto with the cape flared out. I just think it looks better. I'm pleased to report they've used stretchy screen-printed spandex for the suit. The entire thing. Underneath the belt and the trunks and the boots and the gauntlets, spandex. So you will be able to leave him in semi-dynamic poses. Don't go too crazy with it. At a max elbow bend, the screen printing is making contact with itself, so that will fuse together over time. Just work around the restrictions. I reckon you can get some sick poses out of Magneto without ruining the outfit. It's also a thin enough fabric that you can see some muscle tone poking through, but not too much. It's not overdone. Like, it's subtle. The pecs, the abs, you can see the general outline of his muscles. It's not like he's this roided out rage monster, though. There's a vein right there as well. Quick question. How do you feel about the panel lines on the suit? The Sideshow figure had black panel lines. The bright red ones, they do stand out, but they're not as much of an eyesore as the black ones on the Sideshow outfit, in my opinion. It's interesting, their approach to the gauntlets and the boots. They're separate, free-floating pieces of sculpted plastic, and you see that right there, the red sections? That's meant to be the undersuit showing through. The texture isn't quite fine enough, and the red isn't quite light enough for them to match perfectly, but it's close. On display, I don't think that's going to jump out at you. Why didn't they just make them real cutouts, though? Because the suit does continue all the way down, same thing with the boots underneath those pieces. Sideshow gave us real cutouts, and now there's some actual depth, and the color match is perfect because that is the real suit underneath those gauntlets. Doing sculpted sections, you might argue that that would stop these bands from moving, but there's a piece of purple plastic on the inside and the outside, so I don't think they would have moved around or deformed if they'd have left those crevices open. I don't know, maybe it was just cheaper to do it that way versus relying on those two bracket pieces to keep these bands in position. Now his belt is also adjustable, closure around the back, it's glued in place, not removable. But this right here, massive improvement versus what they gave us with Wolverine. The infamous sculpted plastic Weapon X G-string. I mean, poor Wolverine, why did they do this to him? For Magneto, the trunks, real fabric. And they hug the body, they don't look overly bulky, they allow for more articulation because the legs won't bump into the G-string. This, going forward, for your superhero characters wearing trunks on the outside, don't go back to sculpted plastic, keep using fabric. He has been clearly hitting the gym. Those thighs are gigantic. I'm not crazy about the bump out at the hips. When you angle the legs out for a wide stance pose, though, that is totally a non-issue. It's just when he's standing straight up and down. We've got the panel lines around the front for his thighs. The knees, though, that's just the textured undersuit. The boots, done in the same way as the gauntlets with the painted red textured sections. Would have liked that texture to be a lot finer than it is, or just cutouts. You could always heat these up and take an X-Acto knife to them. I'm not brave enough to try that myself, though. Split cut boot design for maximum range. No sculpted tread, but fully painted boots on the underside, done in metallic purple. Very quickly, before we move on, this is what he looks like with one of his Magneto-powered effect disc things on. It's quite sizable. It attaches more securely than I thought it would. This really isn't going anywhere, even if I bump it. It adds some color and visual interest to the front of him. Not that he's lacking in terms of color and visual interest, but introducing blue, I don't mind it. However, removing this, passing up the opportunity to use the magnets in his hands to hold some screws and nuts and bolts and bits and pieces, showcasing that he is the master of magnetism by using the magnets, that's too good of an opportunity to pass up. Maybe I'll have him with one effect part on and then some metal stuff on the other side. For a quick side-by-side comparison, it's not a fair fight. On the left, Hono Studio / Hot Toys, and on the right, Sideshow. Look, Sideshow did a great job with their piece. For the longest time, he's been the leader of the Brotherhood in my collection, but not anymore. That crown goes to the Hono Studio Magneto. He's bigger, he's bulkier, he just looks and feels more substantial. That head sculpt oozes personality, and the cape is just so much easier to work with versus the Sideshow one. It's going to be down to personal preference, but if I were you and you're sitting here trying to pick between them, I'd strongly consider the figure on the left. Oh, I'm hearing it again. That theme song playing in my head right now. Tiger Stripe Wolverine next to Magnus. Logan is shorter as he should be. I was worried he was going to be too big because he's taller than some of the Sideshow X-Men. It turns out they were planning on supersizing everyone else, so it's totally a non-issue. Sideshow Scott is still one of their best 1/6 scale releases of all time, but there is room for improvement. Hear me out. Hono Studio Cyclops using Magneto's body. You see, Jim Lee's Cyclops was equally as big, if not even bigger than Magneto, so I think it would be a good fit. I'm tempted to pick up another Magneto, rip off the outfit and do a body swap with this Cyclops. I'll wait and see what Hono Studio gives us, because they might just end up making one themselves. Going over articulation, starting off with his head sculpt. Ball joint at the base of the neck, then a double ball peg underneath the head itself. Just watch out for the helmet colliding with the collar, especially around the front. Looking forward to there, or you can bring the helmet over the top if you so choose. Looking up to there, just enough range for a flight pose. Swivel and pivot side to side. His arms will go up to there, no problem, unhindered by the fabric outfit, completely flushed down by his sides, always good to see. Forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down, but only a little. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going past 90, then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. A joint at the midsection, another at the waist, crunching forward. That is way more restricted than I thought it was going to be. Back to there, further than forward for some reason. Swivel, and some pivot side to side. His legs will go forward to there before they lock out, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Double bend at the knee, going past 90. Then a double ball peg for the ankles, good for forward and back, rotation, as well as some ankle tilt, but it is limited by the split cut boot design. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is a recurring one. Please stop trying to get us to do arts and crafts hot toys, I'm just not very good at it. This is the backdrop for the display base. Not only do you have to cut it out yourself, but that means you'll be mutilating your box to create a faux comic book cover to display behind your figure. Why not just give us a separate piece of cardboard that's printed without asking us to do all of the cutting? The second annoying thing, while I unequivocally love this head sculpt, I do, it's beautifully well painted, it looks like Magneto from either the show or the comics, and I can work with it. I would have liked to switch out faceplate with a neutral expression, maybe even moving eyes, and knowing Hono Studio, they fully intend to give us those things, but as a separate release in the future, meaning we're probably gonna have to buy a second one of these. The third annoying thing, such a minor little nitpick, the textured sections in between the bands on the gauntlets and boots, they've painted the red over the purple plastic and it's too dark. They should have primed it with white first, so the red would have been more vibrant, then it would have matched the red on the suit, which is what it's trying to mimic anyway. The first cool thing is you've got options with the cape. The wires are so strong. You can flare it out over his shoulders, giving him that classic X-Men animated series Magneto look, which is what I prefer. So silly, but it's also really fun. This is Magneto, so including magnets in his hands, so he can pop little screws and bits and pieces on there to make it look like he's using his powers. Such a nice touch. The third cool thing, full fabric spandex outfit. This is stretchy screen-printed spandex. It's still a little sticky. You need to be careful so it doesn't get pinched in the joints and stick to itself. But for the most part, as long as fabric isn't making contact with other bits of fabric, you can leave this guy in dynamic poses. Wrapping up on Hono Studio / Hot Toys Magneto, this figure is the shit. If you are thinking about getting him, don't wait, because I highly doubt he's going to hang around for long. Once people start catching on, finding out how good this guy is, the bright colors, the big body, the cape that you can flare out over his shoulders, that head sculpt with the crazy, intense expression, it all just comes together. And don't forget the magnet hands. You can't forget the magnet hands. They are bloody brilliant. This figure, I believe, is a must-have. If you've got an X-Men display in the works, you need to have Magneto. He's the core villain. And this, I've already said it, but one more time, is the best 1/6 scale Magneto, comic book based, on the market to date. Will he ever be topped? It's possible. I would like to see what that figure looks like today. This is the Magnus to have. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.